Welcome to the Dr. Leadership Podcast, where the DR stands for Driving Results. Our focus is weekly conversations around life and business relationships and the important leadership qualities for both. These concepts and qualities will help you drive positive results in both your business and personal lives. A weekly connection point to help business leaders develop individual contributors, managers, and executives on your teams. We also will tie in concepts around family focus and life lessons to help you drive success in your personal life. Welcome to the Dr. Leadership Show. Let's get after it. Good day, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Dr. Leadership Show. Hope you're having an awesome day. Hey, big week this last week for downloads. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. The show continues to kind of grab a hold of people and getting shared and getting lots of positive feedback. So thank you as always. Hey, let out for the public the two editions with Commander Kirk Lippold over the last couple weeks, and lots of positive feedback there. If you didn't take the time to join the membership site, you now have access to that just a couple months after it went live on the membership site. But you can go out and listen to the unbelievable story about the USS Cole as it was bombed by suicide bombers from Al-Qaeda back in 2000, and what Commander Lippold went through with his crew, losing a number of sailors and dozens injured, but what they went through to save the ship, get the wounded to help and save lives. Just an incredible story. If you'd like to reach out and give us any type of feedback, we can be reached at our email at drleadershipresults@gmail.com. And of course, you can check us out on our website. That's www.drleadershipresults.com. Go out and check out prior episodes. We can be found on Spotify. We can be found on Apple. We can be found on iHeartRadio. We've got a YouTube channel. DR Leadership 1234 is the YouTube call out if you want to check us out via video with only audio, because I have a voice and a face for radio, so I do just audio. But please check us out. Share it with your friends if you find it valuable. And if not, just keep on moving on. I hope you find content that you really enjoy. So today I want to jump in. We've had a number of good articles around, good editions. The last one being about adversity, and several others tying into just how to kind of take on the world. Today I want to talk about the value of a fulfilled environment for your employees and also your home life. What kind of value does a fulfilling experience bring? Harvard Business Review had a just brief little article on their digital site here a few weeks ago, and it kind of resonated to me, and I put some notes down, said, hey, go back and check this one out and bring this to you. It is a very interesting quick hit on how, research suggests, and this is their data, not mine, but revenue could be boosted by up to 50%. Results can be boosted by up to half by improving your employees' experience in the office, at work, in the environment. Research also shows that a person's personal life improves dramatically when life is fulfilling. So first of all, what's fulfilling? It means different strokes for different folks, I suppose. But some basic things, can be described as, perfectly alive, of course, filled with purpose. I think purpose is huge for people, right? Satisfaction, highly meaningful engagements. You have a quote-unquote why in your life. This is true at home. This is true at work. This doesn't take a lot of Harvard-educated individuals to come up with, and me, myself, and one, their executive business training school. But it doesn't take a fancy degree to kind of figure out that if you're buying what the company's selling internally, if you're tied in culturally, if you're tied in with the vision, if you're tied in with the overall feel of the organization, if at home, let's talk about personal life for a second, if you have a great parental environment, you have a safe entity or a safe place, if you don't have a lot of concerns in life, dual parents has shown value in research versus single parenting, but you can be fulfilled with a single parent, of course. But if your home life is very fulfilling as well, the outcomes of that are more successful than not being fulfilled at home or at work. So that fulfilling life, describe it any way you want, but purpose, satisfaction, meaningful, giving to others, something more than just having things and ideals around ownership and money and those types of things. That fulfilling is so much more than having intangibles or having tangible items, It's the intangibles in life that are so important to you. So they look at what is in this HBR, Harvard Business Review article, this quick hit. They talked about a few things, and I've added a couple commentaries here on my own, but just giving you some feedback on this in case you don't have the access to the article. Very good one. Of course, it was only the electronic version. You got to be a member to get at that. So if you aren't a member, check it out. It's not that expensive, actually. But there's basically 5 important factors that they talk about, and I bought every one of them that they were selling to me. I thought that they were pretty good ones. I'm going to go down on some tangents on it. But the first thing that they talked about to have your employees really feel fulfilled in their work experiences is there's got to be mutual trust. And you're gonna lack in results if there's an untrusting environment in any manner. And I've been involved with my company for a long, long time. I'm coming up on 30 years with the same organization, been in the same industry for coming up on 34. Big shout out to I'm heading to the recognition trip tomorrow. We're going down and celebrating great results by 105 individuals in my organization down in Costa Rica for a week. My wife and I are jacked up. When this is actually released, we'll be back for a week now. So if all goes well, I'll be back to record the next one. But he's celebrating 43 years. I'm actually going to bring that up on the when I'm up on the podium. I get to be, I'm very, very fortunate to tell the story about 20 individuals on this trip and how they have done just wonderful things with my organization. But trust is a big, big one. If you aren't going to get the results, if you want to get the results, you got to have trust. And it has to be bi-directional trust. This is what I wanted to bring up into this. Do you show that you trust I'm talking to the leaders out there, or I'm talking as an individual contributor, very, very few jobs these days. You handle all of the customer interaction, right? You're going to have billing support. You're going to have install support. You're going to have servicing support. You're going to have maybe subject matter expertise support. So this isn't just for the leaders. I'm going to speak about the leadership side of this for a minute because it is the Dr. Leadership Show. But do you trust your teams? Do you show that you trust your teams? Do you know what that even looks like? Do you come across condescending as if I'm so much smarter than you? I realize you probably don't know how to do this. Or do you say, all right, I just need you to go out and handle this, and man, I really appreciate you taking care of it. That's trust. You've already assumed it's done. You engage people on your teams to take care of items for you. You delegate. I've said many, many times, if you don't trust your teams, those around you, as an individual contributor, as a leader, one of two things are wrong. Either you have the wrong people, and if these people have been around and creating results for a long time, like I'm blessed with, we've been hitting numbers for decades. So it's not the wrong people. Then the other one is you got a crappy attitude towards your people. You're maybe being a little narcissistic, maybe thinking a little too high of yourself. So the trust has to be shown to your individuals, and they will then trust you. If you show that trust to your teams, I'm sure that they will start to show trust in you, because if they feel that you know you have their back, they're going to feel that you have their back. And that's an important thing in getting an organization to really be humming for maximum results. You got to have trust. In your family, let's talk about that for a second. As a parent, if you have children, as a spouse, significant other, do you show you trust your spouse and kids or your significant others? Do you show that to them? See, trust promotes things like creativity, collaboration. It improves retention for sure as a leader in an organization. It also improves retention of staying as a tight family if you trust. If you're a helicopter parent overlooking your kids and not letting them do anything in life without doubting that they're being good kids, you haven't raised them right. You got to show them the way, and then you got to count on them a little bit. You got to bring calm to your family. You don't want to be, this guard at the gulag watching over everything. You got to show your family that you trust them. Do you check your spouse's cell phone? I certainly don't. My wife certainly doesn't with me because there is 100% trust there. I certainly don't go off looking at bad things. She doesn't certainly got absolutely no way she's off doing bad things. That's trust. That's a very, very calming effect at home if you have that. Same holds true in your work environment. Let's say you're a salesperson. That subject matter expert that's coming in, do you have to look at their presentation before they give it to make sure that it's up to your standards? Or do you trust them that, hey, this person's the subject matter expert, maybe I ought to just take the co-pilot seat here and let them do their gig? That's a good way to approach it. Allow other ideas to come in. Allow collaboration and creativity to flow. That's what trust does. Bidirectional trust. Build trust. Trust is earned. Trust needs to be maintained. But show you trust people, and they will turn around and show that trust back in you, and you're going to be killing it with that little attribute. The other thing that this article goes into, and this one's big, is, they call it the C-suite accountability, but just leadership as a whole. You got to be accountable. So it's really close to trust, but it means something a little different. It means ensuring the company leadership is, I wrote down, committed and responsive to both the business needs and the needs of the employee. So some leaders are too focused on the company, and some leaders are too focused on the employee. There's a balance there. There's a mama bear just right mixed to that. Same thing holds true for at home around accountability, and I'll get to that in a second. But ask questions and actively listen as a leader or as a leader of an engagement, right? This isn't just about being a manager or an executive or something of that nature. Let's just talk again as an individual person that's involved with teams to accomplish things. When you ask questions, this is key. I've always said 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in proportion. Listen. Don't hear. Listen. Actively listen. Just don't go through the motions. Needs can't be addressed if you don't know about them. Fixes can't come about. Improvements can't be made if you don't have your spidey senses turned on towards your people. As a leader, you've got to listen because they're closer to it. Many times we're concentrating on things that aren't at the street or the employee necessarily or the customer level. And every once in a while we have to take a breath, not be too proud of ourselves to go, I need to sit down and do a roundtable here and get some feedback. And if you don't like the answer, that's okay. That's progression. If you don't like the answer, there's probably something that's causing some issues out there and it needs to get fixed. Now in life, you can be accountable to your friends and family and neighbors. Be empathic. Care for your involvement in society. That's what this is basically about. I talk about accountability and being a good neighbor and the village a lot. The doctor feels very, very strongly about being a caring and giving individual. That's a lot of my mojo. Care for your personal involvement in your society. Great example. So I've been working on my health a little bit here. I'm trying to walk those 10,000 steps a day. It's not as easy as you think, especially working from home. And I'm either tagged to the desk or I'm running through airports trying to make a flight that's probably going to be running late or not go at all anyway. I am like 0 for 6 the last 6 flights on getting out on time or even getting out. I was like 3 years, before COVID hit, I was like 3 years with the biggest issue I'd faced was maybe an hour delay. And I am like 6 in a row where flight canceled, flight delayed, no plane, crew timeout. It's been a mess. And it's not going to get any better here for a while. But I'm walking. That's where I'm going with this thing. I'm walking here. If you don't know the reference, you need to look it up. And there's this new neighborhood, a couple neighborhoods away from mine. So I'm trying to go out and, see my world around me. I'm very fortunate. I live in a great neighborhood, some pretty nice homes. I've worked hard for that. I'm not embarrassed to talk about it. I owe the bank money on it. And then there's a neighborhood that's a few blocks away. That's a couple steps less. Still wonderful homes. It's not small dollars. $400,000 homes. I couldn't even imagine having a home like that 20 years ago, right? And I'm walking through this thing, and I'm talking about accountability to your society, your neighbors, your family, your loved ones. And there's a house, and it's on the main drag coming in. Corner lot. And I kid you not, I shit you not, there were weeds 4 feet high. This house closed on within the last year. To afford a $400,000 house, there's there's a Camaro and a Tahoe in the driveway. And these aren't the little grassy weeds. This is like one of those cornstalk looking weeds where you got to take, and if you'd pull this thing out, it's going to come out like a baby tree. And there's like 40 of these in the front yard. It's burnt out in places, more weeds than not. This yard has not been mowed in 4 or 5 weeks. And I'm just like, man, if I was the neighbor across the street, I'll tell you what would be happening. Hey, how you doing? I'm your neighbor. I just, don't want to be this guy, but are you going to clean this crap up? I didn't spend $400,000 for this. Don't be the guy that has to be knocked on the door on. How shameful. It's a bad example to your kids. It's disrespectful of your neighbors. Come on, man. I just couldn't believe it. I walked through, and guess what? I walked again this way. That was about a week ago, and I think somebody did the, hey, man, because it was high and tight. There was a little bit of trimming still needed to be done, but it was much better, and I guarantee neighbors showed up. Either that or the city dropped by. Because that's the other thing you can do is call the city and say, hey, man, I got a noose across the street. City will send a mower out, send them a bill for $400. They won't do it again, promise you. But be accountable. Be empathic to your neighbors. Understand the shoes they're in. Now, I would offer too, is everything okay? Hey, man, can you clean this up? Is everything okay? Would you like my help? I want to make sure that there hasn't been a sudden death or something. I didn't come across that way a minute ago. It just aggravates the crap out of me when people don't take care of their property. I was raised by a World War II father who I had to mow every 5 days. Didn't matter if we needed it or not. Had no sprinkler system. I had to pick, and my siblings and I, after church on Sundays, we would go out with butter knives, just regular table knives, and cut out dandelions one at a time. There was no True Green. There was no Scotts fertilizers. So there were thousands of these things. And I had to mow every 5 days. And I asked my dad one time, I said, hey, Dad, it doesn't really need mowed that bad. Why are you so concerned about the yard? And you know what he said? He said, son, 99.9% of society will never know me personally to get to know me and know that I care. They're going to judge me by what the exterior of my home looks like. If you don't take care of your own home outside, you ain't taking care of your own life on the inside. It's always stuck with me. My yard's tight. My neighbor's tight. Looks awesome. So be accountable. Understand other people's challenges. Care for your involvement in society. Don't let your yard look like crap. The third thing they talked about that's important for a fulfilling environment or a employee to feel fulfilled at work is you got to have alignment of values of the employee and the company and the values and the vision, the 2 V's. Clearly define goals with milestones, and what success looks like is critical. You got to you got to empower your people with what the outcome is you're looking for. If you stand up there and just broad brush things and my company's been guilty of this. You put PowerPoints together. It's got so much on the screen. You don't know what in the hell it's talking about. What is this really net? Net is we need to sell more, it might be saying. Well, just say that. Sometimes the message gets lost because we're trying to include too many graphs and arrows and cute clip art and all this crap. Sometimes bullets work. We need to sell more. Here's why. More profitability leads to bigger merit increases at annual raise time. Hey, got it. Got it. 4 bullets. So the alignment of values and the vision is really, really cool, and it's got to be clear, easily defined with milestones of what that success really looks like. This will drive connection to the mission. And anytime you have a team that really believes in it, it's like being the underdog, right? The mission is to be like App State. It's probably 20 years ago now, I think. Went into the big house, Michigan's football stadium in Ann Arbor, and beat the Wolverines. App State, at that time Division II school, took down the mighty Wolverines. That was a mission that was talked about all week in practice. When you get people pumped up for the mission, we're going to go in and we're going to show them that App State knows how to play this game. We're going to take on Goliath, and we're going to win. We're going to hit the rock right in the temple of the Wolverines and win it. That's a mission that people can get behind. When you can get connection of any type, everyone rowing in the same direction, momentum, inertia, all those things come together, and then people know what part they play in it. If they understand the goal, if they have a great vision for the mission, and they understand what their job is in that, you're going to drive fantastic results. At home, make sure the family understands the why, in air quotes, right? We talk about the why. As a parent, your expectations are the way they are. Why are they? Used to tell my daughters, we don't do that. Why? The reason we don't do that is because that doesn't lead to good outcomes and good results. I'm not going to have my children known as hanging out with those type of people, as an example. I'm not going to have my people doing those types of things that carries a bad name on me. I've blessed you with my name that was blessed to me by my parents, that was blessed to them by their parents. Don't screw it up. Everyone makes mistakes, but don't choose to go down paths that are leading to a dead end in the value of where they're leading to. So set expectations, drive that connection. Kids want to have discipline and rules. Look at the mess in these big cities. These poor kids. They're arrested, they're turned loose again. This is white, black, brown, yellow, all of them. Anybody in these cities that are not given good direction, do not have the ability to have good direction from home, showing a loving and caring, giving them expectations around homework. We've got kids that are graduating from high school that don't read at third grade levels, can't see, spot, run. We've got kids that don't know the first president of the United States. We got kids that don't understand what the Constitution is. We got kids that don't know how to write a check, don't know what a 401k is. Be accountable as a parent. Give these kids good guidance. Give them the tools to continue growing and being good attributes to society and the village. If you want a good family, you got to lead like you want a good family. You got to be tight at the hip with your spouse. It's not about being popular with your kids. It's not about being your kids' friends. It's about being a father and a mother. I'll be your friend when you're 20. I used to tell them 25 and alive. That's my responsibility. I'm not your friend. I'm the other F word, father. They didn't always like that. That's okay. Didn't bother me one bit. The fourth thing they talk about is recognize successes. I'm heading down to Costa Rica for a week. Can't wait. Got 20 people. I get a pat on the, well, more than that. There's, 75 or 80 true winners of all different divisions. The group that I'm fortunate enough to be a part of, I'm going to be patting people on the back. Some of the best people in the company, man. It's going to be awesome. But in work, don't just recognize wins or achievements, but show that you care and recognize their potential and invest in them. And this is one that's been lost. So COVID for 3 years set back a lot of organizations on investing in development of their employees because nobody left their house, right? The world's changed. Are you investing in your organization to approach this new world that you live in? Whatever you sell, buy, build, do your employees and your staff have the talents and the skills that are needed to drive the results and reach the milestones that you're expecting of them? Same thing at home, right? So one more thing on work, you got it. For people to feel fulfilled, they need to see growth abilities. They need to see a road, a journey they can go on with the organization. That's how you get it to not be a job, but an experience and a career, because they can develop. You can see that succession planning's in place. You can see career path, all those different things. You got to invest in people so they can grow. At home, praise accomplishments that meet those ethics and cultures and the correct behaviors that we talked about a minute ago. Meet the guardrails, right? Like I said, we're going down on the COE trip. I am going to high five and buy cocktails for everybody I see. I'm blessed with being able to do my regular job for a living because of these people. If we didn't have these hitters and these killers and these achievers on these teams, I wouldn't have a job. That's something as a leader you need to remember. You might have the title, but you don't have all of the answers and you don't have the job that's keeping the lights on. Those are all the other people. Don't forget that. In your life, you need to give a good environment to your family to be able to succeed. Parent. Show them growth and expectations. Give them a little more accountability each time. As they get a little bit older, empower them with helping around the house. Make the chores a little harder. These are good things. These aren't bad things. Don't be popular, man. Be a parent. The fifth and final thing that they touched on in this article is seamless technology to reduce employees' day-to-day friction. That's a real long sentence that says, make sure the crap that runs your business isn't a headache or a hindrance. Make sure your systems don't slow people down. Make sure that it all works together well. This is a killer. Think of it as the way you have transformed and you're asking your business to transform. Have your tools transformed? Do they empower your employees with the ability to maximize results and allow the most to be focused from a time standpoint to the customer or to your result or to the manufacturing of your widget or whatever it is? Or do your tools and your systems cause headaches and hindrances? I will tell you this, I'm a major technology company, and we've got some things inside that need to be fixed still. And that's always true. There's always improvements to be made. But that's something that, when I'm on this recognition trip, I'm going to bring that up in a couple of context safe environments that, what are we doing here? We need to make sure that we've got the tools there for the people. At home, talking about raising kids, is it a fulfilling environment? Is it safe? Is there love? Is there warmth? Do you spend time together? Do you make the games? Do you find a few minutes to play catch with the ball? Do you go on walks together? Do you show them that you care by sitting down and answering questions about homework? Do you set a time that there is no games until the homework's done? The homework is their future. The games are not. The games are not. Are you creating an environment? Have you given them systems? Do you have the capability for them to have access to the tools they need to do their homework? Some people are not fortunate enough to have Wi-Fi and those types of things. The good news is these major companies, AT&T and Verizon, are gifting and giving those. That's what the public libraries are for. Are you given that environment? I know that a lot of people out there are working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. You got to find time. You share with a neighbor. You get another neighbor that's tied in with the same approaches to life, and you say, you watch mine, I'll watch yours. Create a safe environment. Because these kids and you are awesome. You got to keep that shit up. Talk next week. See ya.